Hey guys, Leyland here. Today's Nuzlocke challenge is a unique one. If you've seen the title or the thumbnail, it's pretty obvious. I'll be doing a solo run using my favorite Pokemon, Snorlax. Now, unlike my previous hardcore Nuzlocke runs, solo runs are just a bit different. Despite my layout, which I do fix pretty early in the run, the level cap is somewhat lifted. I still have one in place, but I don't want to allow myself to be so high level that I just pretty much one-shot everything. If you want an in-depth look at the rule set, it's down in the description below. So with all of that out of the way, here is some basic info on Snorlax, its movesets, on level up, and its base stats. Snorlax is honestly a really strong Pokemon, especially back in Generation 3. That massive base HP, attack, and special defense makes it a very bulky Pokemon that can also dish out a ton of damage. Now with that knowledge out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the run. Spoiler warning, this isn't going to be a long one. I start my journey bright and early in the morning, filled with determination. I go ahead and meet Professor Oak and his grandson, my rival, Bruce. Instead of the regular starters that he has the special set for me, all of which are the sleeping Pokemon, Snorlax. I name them Colossus, and then Bruce thinks that he can challenge me to a battle. Oh, he's gonna learn. Despite the one growl that his Bulbasaur gets off, it only takes 3 tackles to take them down. I make it to Viridian City, and I guess Bruce didn't learn the first time because he challenges me once again. Even though he has 2 Pokemon now, he is still no match from the mighty Colossus. Marching through Viridian Forest with ease, I arrived at Pewter City. And without much hesitation, I eagerly head in to tackle my first gym. Of course, getting Colossus to level 13, he learns the godly move, Belly Drum. Like, no joke you guys, this is the single most powerful move Game Freak could have given Snorlax, because that insanely high base attack is maxed out at the cost of half its giant HP. So, going ahead and challenging Brock, he's got 2 very bulky rock Pokemon, but thankfully Snorlax also learns Defense Curl. So after maxing out its attack, I chip his Geodude down enough to set up 1 Defense Curl. Knowing Onix has a pretty weak attack stat, I'm confident that +1 in defense is more than enough to give him the time to knock out this bulky rock snake. And after 3 tackles, it goes down, and my first badge is acquired. I go ahead and make my way to Mount Moon and I catch my first HM user. I make it through the rest of the tunnel with ease and have Colossus learn Mega Punch. It's honestly just another stab move that's slightly stronger than Headbutt, but unfortunately it has 85% accuracy. I reach Cerulean City, and instead of tackling Misty's gym first, I first take on my rival Bruce. I decided to forego Belly Drum in this match because at level 18, Colossus is already a powerful tank. And honestly, most of his Pokemon go down in 1 or 2 hits. His Bulbasaur does stall a bit by putting my giant Titan to sleep with Sleeping Powder. But honestly, it's not enough to stop him. I then go on and storm through both Route 24 and 25 and speak with Bill to get the SSAN ticket. Then I go to get my second gym badge. I start the match off against Misty using Belly Drum, and despite her Staryu using Harden, it's not enough to survive a +6 Colossus Headbutt. Misty then tries her best with her Starmie using Water Pulse, and honestly gets lucky at confusing the giant hulk of a Pokemon. Yet you can't stop Colossus as he pulls through the confusion and knocks out her Starmie with 1 headbutt. Is it gonna surprise you guys that this is the strat for the majority of the run? I mean, not all of it, but for the most part. It's not long until I reach Vermilion City, and before I tackle the 3rd gym, I go ahead and stop at the SSAN. Honestly, I'm not here for very long, but I do face off against Bruce once again. I don't actually use Belly Drum during this match. I mean, honestly, Colossus is already at level 24, meaning I don't quite outlevel his Pokemon. Yet, it's simply because of that massive 110 base attack paired with Stab 70 Headbutt or Stab 85 Mega Punch. Basically just kills his whole team in 1 hit. However, props to his Ivysaur for being able to tank that. It does use Sleeping Powder once more, but again, this is simply stalling out the inevitable. Despite his best effort by setting up Leech Seed, once Colossus wakes up, it only takes 1 punch to finish it off. Good try, Bruce, but it just wasn't enough. Colossus also learns the second best move after this battle, Rest. My combo wombo is absolutely complete at this point. I get cut by rubbing the captain's back, and honestly, it's always been weird to me, but I can't stay because I do have a gym badge to win. And here we go, the most annoying puzzle in all of Pokemon. The trash switch. Luckily though, I do manage to get both switches on the first try, and I prepare to go up against Lieutenant Surge. Alright, starting with this match against Lieutenant Surge, he uses Screech, which drops my defense by 2 stages. While I do have Colossus drum on his mighty belly, then go ahead and have him sleep off with Rest to recover all that HP. Surge's Voltorb but can't do a whole lot to us, so I have no worries by waiting for Colossus to wake up. However, during that time, he does manage to land a second Screech. After that, Colossus wakes up and knocks out his Voltorb. I got really lucky now after this because Surge just seems to want to do double team. Despite the evasion boost, Colossus still is able to make contact with Mega Punch for a second knockout. And honestly, at this point, with 2 Screeches down, I think that's like, what, -4 in defense? And now I'm kind of wondering if Surge is even fine, because his ace Raichu is also using double team. This could honestly make the battle far more terrifying for me, yet Colossus has perfect 20/20 vision, you guys. Colossus honestly has perfect 20/20 vision. He manages to connect once more with Mega Punch and knocks out his Raichu, gaining me my 3rd gym badge. 3 badges down, as I make my way to Cerulean City. I do go ahead and catch Bellsprout to use Flash, but I honestly have a moment to question why. Like honestly, I'm an OG Generation 1 player. I know Rock Tunnel like the back of my hand. However, I do gotta admit, I've gotten a few of the floors mixed around here in this playthrough, but I only got lost for just a split second. After that, getting through, I reached Lavender Town. I honestly don't stick around here because for whatever reason, I felt like something was gripping my shoulder. So I go ahead and head towards Celadon City. And we are about halfway through the video. If you're enjoying this solo run, go ahead and press that like button, like you'd want to push Colossus' giant soft belly. Subscribe if you're new and you enjoy this run, it helps out the channel greatly, letting me know that this is the kind of content that you guys want to see more of. So, back to the run. I make it to Celadon City, and I get the tea from the granny to unlock Saffron. I pick up Fly, and then I get the coin case for later and squash Team Rocket Grunt for fun. Feeling extremely confident at this point, I decide to tackle the entire underground hideout while I was at it. Even Giovanni wasn't even much trouble for Colossus after using Belly Drum and Rest. And with that massive victory, I obtain the Sylph Scope. But before we can go back to Lavender Town, I go ahead and get my 4th gym badge. And I'll admit, Erica wasn't much of a hassle. However, her victory bell nearly knocks out the mighty Colossus because I mistakenly used Belly Drum, and then they used a few Giga Drains, honestly leaving me with only 23 HP. Thankfully, it didn't attack, and I was able to rest it back up to finish it off and the rest of her team. Now, with 4 gym badges down and most of the game opened up to me, the second half of this run is going to be going pretty quickly. I headed back to Lavender Town and I tackled my rival Bruce once more. Now with Body Slam a part of Colossus' move pool, I make quick work by turning his entire team into pancakes. Don't worry, my dear rival, you'll be better next time. Now before I tackle the Pokemon Tower, I do have a slight issue that I need to fix. Colossus in all his might can't hit any ghost types, so I do teach him Rock Tomb, as it was the only move that he could learn. Thankfully though, this move becomes helpful later in the run against some flying types, so it's not a total loss. I save Mr. Fuji and obtain the Pokeflute. I use this of course to wake up one of the inferior sleeping Pokemon. Then I spend the time to register 30 different Pokemon because I want to get a very important item. You need to obtain the item finder in order to get the leftovers. There's unfortunately no other way to get it otherwise. And with that, I make my way south to Fuchsia City. I walk around the Servari zone to obtain not only the Golden Teeth, but to get the HM Surf as well. Now with all of this out of the way, it is time to get my 5th gym badge from Koga. And honestly, going into this, I'm kind of glad Colossus has the ability Immunity, because any attempt that he tries poisoning my mighty Colossus is rendered useless. Like, don't get me wrong, I love thick fat, and it is nice and very useful later in the game, but honestly, poison just sucks. So, because of this, Koga is honestly really easy to deal with. Setting up Belly Drum against his coughing and using Rest to heal it all the way back up. And while I was waiting for Colossus to wake up, however, his coughing does get off a few smoke screens, lowering my accuracy. This simply makes battling him a little more annoying, with how often Colossus misses. And despite his best effort of even going further with his Muck using Minimize, I managed to knock out his entire team with ease. And with that, I obtained the 5th gym badge, and now it is time to tackle Team Rocket once and for all. I go ahead and head into Silphco building, and knowing right away where the keycard is, I simply deviated a little bit to find the bed for a quick rest. Only knowing that this time, my rival Bruce can actually be slightly challenging here. Speaking of which, here we go. I start the battle by using Belly Drum strat, and I think Bruce is kind of fed up with me at this point for doing so, because his Pidgeot whirlwinds Colossus away. So because of this, I do try and avoid surrounding up again and take out his Giant Bird without setup. I do continue and I tackle the rest of his team normally. This basically came down to patience, but of course his bulky Venusaur is able to tank several headbutts before it finally goes down. I'm gonna be real with you guys, I'm not even gonna mention the second fight with Giovanni. His ground types might be bulky, but they're absolutely nothing compared to the mighty Colossus. So with Team Rocket taken care of, it's finally time to obtain my 6th gym badge from Sabrina. Now, while reaching her, I face against quite possibly the toughest challenge I mistakenly chose to fight. A trainer and their 2 Gastlys. Why, you may be asking? Well, these things love spamming Destiny Bond, so I had to work around both of them until I could knock them out. Like, imagine losing the entire run over a dumb mistake over a cheap win. Now, after overcoming that battle, I learned an even quicker way to reach Sabrina. And it's now time to face against Sabrina. Knowing most of her Pokemon aren't very defensive, I decide to skip out on my overpowered strat and just go pure offensive. The only one of her Pokemon that gave me just a little bit of trouble was her Venomoth. The rest of them though, were so frail that it took either 1 or 2 body slams. Like honestly you guys, this is partially why I love Snorlax so much, especially in the older generations. It just hits so hard, even without any setup. So, with 6 badges obtained, it is time to finish things fast. I've only got one more major dungeon, and that's the Pokemon Mansion, in order to unlock Blaine's gym. Yet, honestly, nothing really important happens here, so let's just go ahead and skip tackling Blaine. And honestly, you guys, I have played LeafGreen and Fire Red so many times now that his quizzes are just nothing to me. Like, I just know them all by heart. So with that out of the way, I go ahead and challenge the fiery gym leader, Blaine. I tried setting up, but his little Growlithe uses Roar to swap out my mighty Colossus. Honestly, I'm really wishing now that I took out the rest of my team because I don't need them. Why do I have them on? I don't know. That's past Lynn to ask. So honestly, I skipped the setup once again because of the several Fire Blasts that this little pup was using. Despite having Colossus's level around Blaine's, he's just too strong, being able to knock out his entire team without any setup. And with that, my 7th gym badge is obtained, and we are nearing the end of this run. I quickly make my way back to Viridian City to tackle Giovanni once and for all. And not gonna lie, despite how easy things have been going against him in the past, this time, I actually had to be careful because his favorite move to spam is Earthquake. Pretty powerful, even against Snorlax. It's mostly because of the weaker defense that Snorlax has. So, here we go, gym number 8. And honestly, looking back on this fight, I could have leveled myself up just a couple more levels, because several times Colossus came very close to getting knocked out, quite easily. I do manage to set up on his leading Rhyhorn, and of course, he nearly knocks me out with 1 Earthquake. Healing Colossus back up with Rest, and I wait. And I do use an odd strat going up against this gym that honestly I kinda risk the entire run on. I go ahead and build up Rollout with +6 attack, and it does start out slow, but shockingly, Giovanni, for whatever reason, goes ahead and swaps out for his Nidoqueen, which is taken down after my 3rd rollout. Unfortunately, when he sends out his Nidoking, Colossus misses. Running low on HP, I do decide to use Rest again, but nearly get knocked out by Nidoking's Earthquake. After waiting to wake up, I luckily do just in time, only to use Rest once again. Like, I seriously gotta wake up quickly to take out this powerhouse. And thankfully, on the third turn, Colossus finally wakes up with a Body Slam and knocks out his Nidoking. He sends back out his Rhyhorn, and knowing he'll probably heal, I just go ahead and use Rest to bring Colossus back up to full. When he finally wakes up again, I use Body Slam and knock out his Rhyhorn in one shot. Looking back on this fight, honestly, I really don't know why I wasted time learning Rollout. It's just not worth the setup time when Body Slam does so much damage already. Thankfully, his Dugtrio isn't that strong, allowing me to heal Colossus back into full and knock it out in a few turns. His last and final Pokemon, sadly, is just another Rhyhorn. Regardless though, he's taken out. Okay, wait, holy cow, that thing survived, but hey, it got paralyzed. Pretty much I'm expecting him to heal back up to full with using a Hyper Potion, so I decide to play around with him using Rollout. Giovanni tries his best to heal the paralysis, but after 2 rollouts, yeah, his Rhyhorn finally goes down. And with that, you guys, I've obtained my final gym badge. And with that, I make my way to the Indigo Plateau to challenge the Elite Four. But before that, however, my rival Bruce tries one last time to end this run. Sadly for him though, Colossus easily shrugs off his team this time around, thus proving how great this Pokemon truly is. There is no stopping Colossus at this point. As I make my way through Victory Road, I wonder if there is actually any final challenge before me, and hope that the Elite Four is that challenge. Before tackling this final challenge, I do some much needed prep. Sadly, I did miss getting the TM rest off the SSN, so I'm a bit limited on swapping out moves. That's going to be somewhat necessary in between matches. And with all that prep done, this is the final look at the mighty Colossus. So with that all out of the way, it is now time for the final challenge of this run. It is time to go up against the Elite Four. First up is the Icy Trainer, Lorelei. She leads off with Dugong. On turn 1, I set up Belly Drum. Because of how bulky Colossus's HP and special defense is, her Dugong Surf is nothing but a Mosquito Bite. I do actually skip on healing with Rest, and I go straight on to Rampage with Body Slam. And with that, her first Pokemon goes down. Next up is Cloyster. She tries wasting my PP by using Protect. She manages to get the first one off, but her second Protect fails and one Body Slam takes out her second Pokemon. Her third Mon is her own bulky tank, Slowbro. Despite how bulky this one is, it is no match against a +6 Stab Body Slam. Even her Lapras is no match for this powerhouse that is the mighty Colossus. And lastly, her Jinx comes out and it is quickly dealt with, thus earning me my first match in the Elite Four. After healing up, I do face against the next member, Bruno. Before that, however, I decide that Return is a better option because no doubt Colossus has max friendship, and it'll do slightly better than Body Slam. Yet despite everything that people say, myself included, this isn't actually going to be easy. So, here we go. Bruno sends out Onix. I try setting up Belly Drum and then next take out his Rocky Snake with Earthquake. Up next is Hitmonchan, and luckily Colossus outspeeds and lands yet another Earthquake with a second knockout. Next out is Hitmonlee, and unfortunately it does outspeed us, thus landing a Brick Break that nearly knocks out the mighty Colossus. See you guys, I'm not joking. Bruno is actually dangerous this run. Yet it only takes one Earthquake to knock it out. Now it's here where I'm actually a little worried because I don't know if Colossus is fast enough to outspeed his ace Pokemon Machamp. Like, seriously, if he's not faster, most likely this is game over for the run because he's gonna use Cross Drop. Like, I cannot stress this enough. But, luckily, Colossus does outspeed and he knocks out his powerhouse. Now, this match is mine, because all that he has left is his second Onix. And after taking that out, that secures my second victory. 2 down, 2 to go. Now, I am honestly a little limited on my moves here before going up against Agatha. So, I do manage to get a TM for Shadow Ball. While Colossus' special attack is rather low in comparison to his other stats, it is the best option that I have against our ghost Pokemon, because unfortunately, they have Levitate. So, here we go. Going into this match, I set up Belly Drum, and honestly, I kind of have a moment thinking, why? Am I just dumb for doing this? And I honestly do have a moment where I'm thinking, well, that was dumb. I just wasted the first turn. What am I doing? Because honestly, I'm thinking the physical special split has Ghost in the special category. Shockingly though, Ghost is physical. So this is actually really beneficial to Colossus. So the mighty Colossus now has a +6 Shadow Ball going against her entire team.
There is no mercy.
Like seriously, hands down was the easiest fight. She became the new Bruno for this solo Snorlax run. 3 down, 1 to go. The Dragon Trainer Lance. Starting off this match, I go ahead and use Belly Drum against his Gyarados. I'm able to return, sweep his first 2 Pokemon, and I rest back up to full against his Dragonite. Despite his best effort though, even with a crit wing attack bringing Colossus to half health, it also is taken down by return. His weaker Dragonairs both go down to the mighty Colossus. And with that, I defeated Lance, but it's not the end. So it's time to teach him one last lesson on who the mightiest Pokemon is. The one and only Colossus. So, going into this final match against our rival, he leads off with Pidgeot. I'm actually able to set up without worrying about Whirlwind this time. Aerial Ace does deal a decent chunk of my health, so to be safe, I do rest, and I get so lucky by waking up on the first turn, and I get the first kill. Next up is Alakazam, and honestly, I'd tell Bruce he should have left them at home, because there is no hope of getting through the mighty bulk that Colossus has against psychic moves. It too goes down with how frail it is. His Rhydon does attempt to lower my speed, but it's fine. It also goes down right after. Gyarados is up next, and lucky for my rival, Colossus misses a few returns. Pretty sure it's because of that sand attack that he got. Yet, I think deep down, Colossus is merely just wanting to give Bruce some hope, only to rip the rug right from under him as he goes down and takes out his tiny fish. The amazing Fire Doggo Arcanine is out and makes a good attempt with extreme speed. However, Colossus teaches it a lesson, but plain dead. Permanently. And lastly, my rival starter, Venusaur, comes out. I guess there's still some sand in Colossus's eyes because he continues to miss, unfortunately. This allows my rival to set up a few growths, which actually kinda makes me worry a little bit. But only a little bit. He does set up Sunny Day, and I'm expecting him to start spamming solar beams. Still missing, he continues to build up growth. And before I could actually start sweating, Colossus rubs the sand out of his eyes, and he lands a solid return, knocking out my rival's Venusaur in one shot, thus securing my victory. And with that victory, you guys, I completed and became champion of Kanto, using only Snorlax. Honestly, Colossus is a mighty Pokemon, and this kind of run is something I've wanted to do for a long while now. I'm glad that I can say that I've finally done this run, and best of all, I managed this in one attempt. Funny enough though, I do have a few close calls, and none of it really was against the major bosses, but just regular fights. Although the Elite Four was a tough one, and it was such a fun run to do. I really enjoyed this, and I do hope you guys enjoyed as well. If you did, be sure to destroy that like button, just like how the Mighty Colossus destroyed this run. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you made it to the end. I greatly appreciate you guys for watching. And of course, shout out to all my lovely members. You guys are supporting this channel, and you guys are truly amazing. If you have other ideas for future runs, be sure to leave them in the comments. With that, my name is Leyland, and this was my solo run using my favorite Pokemon, Snorlax. I'll see you in the next one. Later!